Hello, everybody.
Hi, Todd.
How's it going, Joe?
Terribly busy.
Terribly busy. Understand that.
I'm eating dinner right now, Todd. That's why I'm, man, a few words at the moment.
Oh, you're fine, Joe. I was just trying to get some stuff corrected here, get ready for the agenda when I bring it up. Hey, Chris.
How's everybody doing?
Good. Hey, Austin.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome, Shannon and Caitlin. Glad to have some new people. And Bridget.
Greetings.
Hey, Joe, do you have extra stuff for us tonight?
Yes, towards the end.
Okay. Excuse me for a moment. Okay. I'm going to start our screen share. Chris, you want to do our normal? Is that okay with you?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, I'll start, do the screen share, and I did update, by the way, just so you're aware. Everybody see that?
Yep.
All right. So we'll start out. We do a moment of silence for 30 seconds, and then Chris will get into reading the Bivens decision. We'll go through our mission statement and motto, and then we'll go through some of the things that we have for tonight's agenda. And having some new people, have some hopefully some new stuff to talk about. And then Joe's got some stuff to share. I don't know if we'll have Justin with us tonight. I was hoping maybe he would be here, but if not, then
I talked with Justin earlier. He said he probably wasn't going to make it this evening.
okay, okay. So then we'll just do with what we have and kind of move forward. But again, I'm just glad to have some extra people here tonight that we haven't had. So really glad that you all are here. So with that, I'm going to start our timer, and we'll do 30 seconds of silence, starting now. Okay, Chris, I'll turn it over to you.
Bivens decision. This meeting is private, bearing false witness, misrepresentation, and posting inflammatory rhetoric in public forums is forbidden and shall be addressed in an appropriate manner. To eliminate all conflict and false allegations of anyone in attendance at today's meeting that is a member or agent of any law enforcement agency or public agency of the federal, state, county, city, or township agencies present. Additionally, are there any U.S. citizens or citizens of the United States present? Anyone who is here under false pretenses, anyone who is working for any foreign government, including the territorial United States or municipal United States, anyone who is being paid or coerced to be here must fully disclose their presence and purpose now or leave the premises. If they subsequently show up as federal witnesses, they are discredited for failure to disclose. Is there any response to the Bivens decision? Seeing none, I'll turn it back over to you, Todd.
Thank you, Chris. Hold on for a second.
I'll go ahead and read the mission statement. As the Kentucky Assembly Militia, we are charged with keeping the peace and defending Kentuckians from overreaching government and those attempting to inflict harm on the people of Kentucky, and to provide protection and safety of Kentuckians in disasters and emergencies and education. Our motto is to protect, move, communicate by lawful peacekeeping.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Sorry about that. So anyway, for those that are new, that's what we've been going through on each of our meetings. Just want people to get familiar with our mission statement and motto. And we're still trying to get volunteers to actually have our militia committee. We have some regulars that are with us, and we're just trying to form that so that we can do more things, especially as far as education and training and doing all the background work. So right now it's Chris and I are working together, trying to get things together like when we did our last training session, and we will continue to do so. But as we can get the militia committee, then we will be able to kind of branch out into different areas and maybe have, if we get enough people, we'll have people focused on certain topics, certain things that are going on with the militia, and then it'll be like a specialized area, but that'll just take some time. One of the things that we are working on for our next training session, which we're trying to determine the date, and then also where we're going to do that at because the last time we did it at Taylorsville Lake, but as we're approaching closer to winter, we're going to want something indoors, and then we just got to figure that out. So we'll keep talking about that. We'll figure out that, and then our topics are a bug out bag, which Joe Hayes will be presenting that. Herbal remedies, Belinda Morrison and Laura Domick will be teaming up to do that. Safety, security, and protection, that one's still open. And then fire starting, Bob Domick is going to be taking over for that and sharing those skills. So with that, any thoughts? We were initially talking about the first part of December. It don't necessarily have to be. I mean, it could be pushed back to January. We just got to, be mindful of potential weather and where we would actually do this at, especially doing it indoors. So we may have to rent a facility or do something like that. So are there any thoughts at this current time on where we may hold this training, and then what date?
Me.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know. We met with somebody's house in January in Bullitt County. I believe it was Keith. I think Belinda said it was Keith's house. I
It
don't
was
know if
Keith's house.
yeah, okay. I don't know if he would be willing to do that again, but it's a suggestion.
Well, we could reach out and see if he would be interested, maybe. See if that would be something, he'd be interested in maybe hosting. That's a possibility. I don't want to say it would be different if it was, and I know you all understand this. If it was my own, I could speak and say, but since I don't know, we could just ask, and if he would be interested, and if not, then no big deal. We'll figure something else out. What about the timing, the date? Any preferences on that? We know for sure we're not going to hold it towards the end of the year because of families that are celebrating or do celebrate Christmas and the New Year's or whatever, and people traveling and whatnot, it just wouldn't be a good time. But it'd either have to be the first part of December or probably sometime, after the new year.
I think in January it would be good because you're right. Everybody's gonna start getting busy for Thanksgiving and those different things. And then come January, everybody will have some cool down time and it'll be nice to be, something to look forward to. Just a suggestion. I yield.
Okay. Uh, any thoughts by anybody on that? I mean, I'm fine with it.
Chris
It's
or Mary,
pardon,
Mary,
Chris.
May I? If we're gonna plan on doing it in January sometime, we're gonna probably may have to wait till end of December because my schedule's gonna change. As far as my work schedule,
Right. So your schedule will change for January, is what you're saying?
I believe it will. I'm not positive on that, but it may possibly change because where I work, they do shift bids every 3 months. So
Okay. Um, and you won't know
I'm,
until the end of the year, right?
it'll be closer to the end of the year. Yes.
Okay. Someone say something?
I was gonna say I'm fine with December too. I mean, well, before I was saying it could be like a little Christmas gathering for our assembly, but you know, that way y'all have your organizing. That way he doesn't have to worry.
So if we do that right now, and say we planned on the first part of December, we would we could look at tentative dates. Let's see. Trying to see the calendar here. Uh, it would probably have to be, you got December, what, the 7th and the 14th would be the two Saturdays, correct? Somebody have a calendar?
7, 14, 21, and 28 is all the Saturdays in December.
Okay. So we know 21 and 28 would be out because of getting closer to Christmas. It'd have to be either, and the 7th would obviously, we could get through Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's on my birthday this year on the 28th, I think. So um, that would get us past that part. So with those possible dates. And then I can reach out. Actually, I don't know if I have his number or not. I can see if I got Keith's number. If not, I may have to get it from somebody. Um,
I have it.
is it Mattingly?
I believe so.
Okay. Yep. Okay. I do have it. So I could potentially reach out to Keith, me, or Chris one, and find out if he would be interested. If not, any other thoughts of other locations?
May I?
Sure, Joe.
Joe, yeah. We're to try to work towards getting some recognition and opportunities to meet up at an actual training center. I think that would be a great incentive, motivation level factor for us. If we can, when we do reach out to these training centers that we have, I think Bluegrass Station probably is the closest and central to Kentucky, but um, just as a recognizable place, it's a welcoming place. It's a place where training um, along the lines of state guardian responsibilities and those things can be done there. That way we can know, and then, well, we can become more familiar with that as a meeting place. Um, it's familiar to the training, and then I get if that's in my opinion, that would be a huge achievement, because then the states can vouch for our training and our effort, our purpose and intent, that other training centers across Kentucky can then maybe become available too. So
So where is this Bluegrass Station at?
it's just south of Lexington.
Okay. Is it like near Lawrenceburg, Harrisburg area, or?
Uh, no, it's along I-75.
Oh,
Oh
that
yeah,
way.
so yeah.
So 70, well, trying to think what that would be.
Well, training centers, period. That's kind of that's my hope and expectation, not just for Kentucky, but for all of the assemblies. And just, really respectfully uh, insist, I guess, or inquire heavily to how anybody can go in and train there, or meet there and then train, of course.
So how many of these type centers are there?
I can't think off the top of my head. Other training centers are for training or full-fledged training. They're actually on bases, military installations. But we could find out. We can certainly find that out. Can
I would
ask
say because I
around.
just wasn't aware of any of these training centers, so that's the first I've heard of it. So anyway, that's the reason I was asking. Laura,
I believe Keith has joined us if you wanted to ask him.
Keith, you on here?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, you snuck in on me. I can't see with this screen share, and I can only see certain individuals unless I scroll up or down. Uh, we were talking about our next training session, and it was brought up where we have met a couple times. I know when I did my paperwork, we met at your place. Would that be an opportunity for a training event or not?
Well, probably not because I got somebody in the house right now.
Okay, that's fine. That's all I need. That answers that question. That's not a big deal. Uh, it just was brought up that might be a possibility. So you don't know until you ask. So that's perfectly fine. So back to where we were then with Joe. If you are able to find and pass on to me and or Chris more about these training centers, then we could look into that so that
Okay.
we could have that information to bring up, maybe at the next meeting or whatever.
Okay. I want to share too, also along these lines. Just sent it in the chat. This is something we're working on, and I'm hoping that it will catch on all of the states, maximizing their remote communications. So there's an example of Boyd Adams. He's a 27-year retired now, but 20 years serving honorably as chief of police in Louisiana. He reached out to me about 6 weeks ago. I just sent you his YouTube channel. He only has uh, one video up. It's about an hour and a half long. The potency in this and effectiveness is, he's sharing his experience and his findings. Okay, experience and findings. Just short of experience, we have our findings, right? And then we
Right.
share. So first of all, I'm gonna reach back out to him and nurture his. That's what we do. I mean, we nurture and inspire and all that good stuff. But he's coming in the capacity as a peacekeeper, and he has the experience, so he has that perspective already. He has that to contrast, but at the same time, he has his education that he's sharing, his findings, and then his appeal, I guess. Well, all of that combined, until us as an assembly meets regarding community build out and training, we can do these same things. We literally can do these same things. We have our own channel. We set up our own, and we talked about this last time about the idea. But this will help get people familiar with what we know, where we are, and just kind of build that trust. I don't want to say trust necessarily, but familiarity in what we know. right from the comfort of our home and from a channel. And then again, these channels are, anybody can stumble across them at some point. And so, and then when we come together, it's like, yeah, I saw your channel. You put out a lot of good stuff in the past few months, or over the winter time, the times where we can't meet so well. And I hope we're not going to rely on these channels, but when we do finally come together, we know of each other in that sense because we're sharing what we can where we are.
Right.
Yes, but I just wanted to share Chief Boyd's or Adams here his appeal, and it's pretty good. And so and in the realm of sheriffs or county sheriffs or state police, state troopers, I'm gonna pick his brain and try to attempt to assist where we can PKTF wise to have him hopefully, add more videos, add more relative content to what his concerns are and what his skills are. And that maybe at some point, if he's available, that he can help share the Pinkerton perspective of, law enforcement as unto sheriffs. So like I say, he was a police chief, not a sheriff. And that has a lot of value for sheriffs and deputy continental marshals on our counties, alongside, of course, existing municipal sheriffs and their police departments if they have them. So it's really great. I just wanted to share that so you guys can see, first of all, see what Boyd is sharing and his concerns and his skill and all that. So it's similar, I guess you could say, into what we can do. Because I'll just say this: I'm hoping to, well, I'm planning to share regarding the bug out bag or the contents of that, the purposes of that, on a channel just like that.
So
Regardless if we met and I shared for the first time or yet again after video sharing.
So I may have missed this, and I'm sorry. I had to answer a text that I didn't answer back, a gentleman earlier today about a job. But anyway, so is this is it YouTube channel?
Yeah, that one is.
Okay. I just want to make sure when you said channel, make sure I was understanding that that's what it was. I thought
Yeah.
that's what you meant. Maybe you may have said it. I may have just missed it, and I apologize for that. But yeah, that would work to be able to do that, especially if we can learn from someone like that with all that experience. That would be awesome.
Yeah, and then as far as the Kentucky Assembly Militia, we're actually, it's not just anybody stumbling across somebody's channel that's interesting. It's actually us from where we are sharing what we know that adds to our Assembly Militia build out.
Right.
So it's multi-purpose in that way. But I did
I
get
sent,
the idea. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I sent that video out in our chat on I think it was Thursday. That's the 962 cases. It's about an hour and 27 minutes long. Right? The video.
Yeah, it is. Go ahead.
So they
It's on Paul Stramer's blog as well. And
okay.
I spoke with Chief Boyd about 6 weeks ago with his plight regarding his sister being pulled over. And this is a guy, again, 27 years, twice in office, honorably served, and his same county current chief is throwing him to the wolves, if that's any indication of how corrupt these Pinkertons are, or whatever's persuading him to not participate. He's in the same breath, letting them know, hey, we're here for you guys, and your system is satanic ultimately, So he shares all of that in that video, so it's really good. But that's just a really good example across the aisle of what we can share with each other where we are. And Boyd's sitting right there at his desk, but it's relative, and that's peacekeeping, and this is an assembly militia. So, I'm gonna plan to set up the bag. I have 2 bags. They're already filled actually. And I'm gonna set up my tripod and I'm gonna rehearse and then I'm gonna share. And I'm gonna share again in person live when we get that opportunity. But in the meantime, that's just something that we all can share. And then and then the rest of the world, when they stumble across our channel, can see that. And then that flies in the face of these content creators, uh, earning AdSense, I guess, who slander and try to group most people, as many people as they can, into a sovereign citizen group. So we can counter that by showing how peaceful and calm and intelligent we are, and all of these other things.
All right. That would be good. That way we can make people understand that what they're seeing out there or what they have seen is not the same as what we're about and what we're doing.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so that sounds good, and especially like you said, in those times where we have either inclement weather or it's just a time of the year and we can't meet up, and that could go really for any time. It wouldn't necessarily have to be inclement weather. It may just be for whatever reason we just can't get together if we're able to bring content. So that's hopefully something we can just continue to work on and kind of hash that out as we move forward. Is there anybody interested in this security, safety, and protection training session?
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Well, my understanding, the way when we brought it about, because Austin's on here, right? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Austin, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you initially brought this up. Basically, it's about protection for you and your family, and during times of I don't know what the words I want to use. Stress.
Distress. Yeah.
Distress, yes. And then, like, for instance, use example, this current hurricane situation. Helene, is that right? You've got this bad situation, and then you've got people that come in after a bad situation, and then they start looting and doing all this stuff. Well, you need to be able to protect your family, well, at all times. And then just, there's different things about safety and protection, but just securing yourself, securing your family, and there's different means of that. I mean, most of us typically think of having some form of maybe of protection. We usually think of, Joe would say, hardware, right, Joe?
Yeah.
But basically just to protect your own, there's different things, I mean, that you can do to protect your family, and you should protect them. Austin and I talked when we had the training session, and he mentioned some things. So, is there anything, Austin, that you want to add to that as part of our discussion that we had at our last training session? Did I cover most of that, or did I miss anything that you recall?
Not at the moment. I think you covered it pretty good.
Okay. So again, it's just looking at what things can you do to protect your family, protect yourself, protect your belongings. What are some things about safety, for the community? Thinking about, like, in these situations, like I mentioned with the hurricane and everything, how can you look out for your neighbors? How can we, have each other's back? And it's especially, I think, our family of American State Nationals, but not just that. We don't just look out for our own. We should look out for our own community, because we live in those areas and we need to be able to help each other out. That's the whole part about being neighborly. So anything that we can do to aid in that, that's kind of what that is. Does that answer your question, Laura?
Somewhat. So it's going to be like a training session, like a Zoom call. I'm trying to figure out what exactly it is.
Well, no, I mean, that would be just like we had the other training sessions. You would just have items, or you may have, I'm trying to think what else we could.
So it's something we could do at our next militia day.
Yes, it would be done at the, I mean, we can still do a video on it, but due to sensitive topics, so let's put it that way. That's why I use some of the phrasing that Joe mentioned before, because the the public at large wants to take and run with it. And if we're about peace and you mention anything along the lines of a weapon, then that throws you into this sovereign citizen category that you're trying to arm yourself and do all this kind of stuff. So you have to be, I guess, kind of careful how you go about wording things, just because we are people of peace. We're not trying to, drum up some idea of militia that most people have in mind, where it's a bunch of armed renegades. We're common everyday people, and most common everyday Americans that I know of have things to protect their family, whether you're an ASN or not. So we're not doing anything any different than anybody else would do. And the thing is we just need to be able to bring that about, that, hey, these are the things that you can do to safely protect yourself. Maybe it's protecting your property by posting no trespassing signs. Maybe that's part of a protection or safety thing for you and for those that are potential trespassers. There's just lots of different things, what I'm saying, that you can look at. It's just like you would lock most people, I know some people that don't, but most people would lock their doors or lock their building and protect their belongings or whatever. And I know that's being real simplified, but I'm just saying there's just different things. We're wanting to go beyond that super simplified examples to other things that we can do to put into place to take care of those around us, whether they're family or neighbors, friends, whatever. Does that make sense?
It does.
You ladies that joined us, do you have any thoughts or comments on the things we're discussing? I don't want to just call you out, but I want you to feel like you're a part and not feel like you just have to sit back and if you have something on your mind. For those that are new, I want you to feel free to be able to speak or ask questions.
Also, can we get them to put their counties next to their names?
Sure. So Caitlin's on Jefferson. Bridget, I can't see.
I'm in Nelson County.
Okay.
I can fix it.
Okay. And then Shannon? Can you hear me, Shannon? I don't know. I don't know if Shannon can hear me or not. She's not answering.
Oh, that's Shannon. That's a man, I think. Shannon. Yeah, Shannon Beard.
Okay. I just saw Shannon. I didn't say so.
He's been having mic issues from time to time over.
Okay. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. I just
Good
saw
to see you
him.
back, Shannon. Yeah, he's probably been traveling the country on his job.
Okay. So I'm not sure where Shannon's from, but yeah, it's good to know where everybody's from to see. That way we kind of know. But do you all have anything that you would want to ask or share or questions?
Greetings. My name's Bridget. I'm from Nelson County. I've been in the assembly for a while. Just haven't been to the meetings for probably a year. But I know Joe and Chris, and but the trouble that we've been facing is it's with the police, the sheriffs and the police. I've already had 2 cars stolen. I've been put in jail. It's been crazy, and they try to throw sovereign citizen on you, and we're very peaceful, but they do not care. Like, they don't care about anything with the Constitution. And we even went into the courthouses, which we don't want to, but they will put a warrant out for your arrest. And actually, like last week, Shannon had a hearing, and he did really well. And he actually shut the judge down. She got really quiet, and I've got a video. But the whole problem is that the police and the sheriffs are just taking orders and not even questioning it, and not even going by the Constitution. And then when we tell them who we are and we're peaceful and we show them our paperwork, they don't want any of it, and then they automatically label us as sovereign citizens. It's crazy, but that's the whole issue. I mean, if we could just get them to start going by the Constitution, the law of the land, I believe that we would have a lot better. It would work out better for us.
May I?
Yes, thank you. I yield.
Bridget, go ahead and see. I don't know when you came in, but I did share that YouTube channel. It has to come to an end, and it's coming to heads of, people coming into the assembly that actually are from that guild. They actually are former police. And in this case, this is a 27-year honorably served police chief, but he's from Louisiana.
That's awesome.
So it's rhetorical, or, where we seem to be running into a brick wall and no way to even turn around or way to disassemble that wall. We have to be able to come at it with the expectation that we're going to have people coming into the assemblies that has these skills and that perspective of where they once served, and then having them share what their I guess strategy is. Now, Boyd is talking about, well, he's alluding to, because of the sources that he has, that it's a training issue. It's really just comes down to training. It's not as a nightmare as it may seem, as if you're living in the Twilight Zone and these people aren't really, they're limited, in that nightmare scenario, they're limited in their even ability to hear. It's probably the fact that they're not being paid to be taught by somebody who, and is, according to their leadership, is just not following statutes and ordinances. Really, it has to be more to that.
Yeah.
Because we have people who are in uniform, they're being paid to do exactly that and nothing else. Because especially if they're years in the service now, and I can only make excuses for what I see as reasonable, but I can't begin to persuade or anybody who's 17 years and 3 years go before they have their pension. And then what would they do then? Well, Boyd seems to be in that position where he retired. I mean, doing the math, he says he's 4 and 5 years into studying. Well, he's 27 years. I'm assuming that he's long since been retired, and not having been privy to the information, because 20 years you retire, right? 27 years, but he's been studying for the past 4 or 5 years. So it seems to be 2 years where he wasn't aware. He made his retirement, he wasn't aware, became aware. Now he's retired, and now there's a new leadership in his office where he once served. And now he's attempting to reach out to a new chief, and the chief isn't hearing it, nor are his officers. Well, it could be because they're just not being paid for that. And they don't want to, as it appears, they just don't want to be in that put into that position where, okay, you're fired then. But chief, this is the law. Well, yeah, but we're not paid for that, and you're fired, or whatever, administrative leave, whatever. And the same with the chief. I make what I make. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys, but this is the law, and this is it. Now, people say the Constitution. I had this discussion with one of our assembly members last time. I think it was a GA meeting, But the facts are, as you can hear, even if it's told to you or if you hear on a replay around the other states, state police will appeal to state constitution or state statutes because that's embedded in their state constitution. And if you look at the enumerated powers and then Article Amendment 10, then by default, even if the Supreme Court rules in the favor of the people, there's a buffer between state constitutions or state laws because of Amendment 10. Because all of those goes back to the states and people respectively. And now we have an issue where, well, never mind what the Supreme Court says, ma'am. State
Yeah.
law says blah 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 because the states have
Yes.
assumed that right in their favor.
Did you hear where
So-
the Supreme Court overturned Chevron deference?
Right. Okay. But these are agencies, alphabet agencies, which is
Yeah.
hits closer to home.
Yes.
But if you look at the 19 enumerated powers and you say, well, where does the federal government have anything to say about traveling, free rights to travel? Well, then the
Exactly.
Supreme Court rules on it, but then you say, well, why are you even ruling on that? It's not even within your venue to even make a mention about free travel.
That's so true. Yes.
Yeah. So we have a clear issue of states running interference with what the federal government doesn't even have power to say. You know, the federal
That's
government has no power to say about public education. And so everything that happens with regards to public education is coming from the state. But then the federal government is supplementing these state boards of education and all that. So there's where we have the issue. Now, just going back to what I mentioned, it does come down to training, and our state general assemblies can look at the Supreme Court rulings and say, well, these are rulings. These are fair rulings. These are calibrated with the United States Constitution. If the state constitutions aren't in adherence to it, but these rulings from the Supreme Court goes to the state, then that should be suitable enough for our general assemblies to nullify anything that the state is attempting to do.
Agreed.
You know, ma'am, sorry, ma'am, state ordinance. Okay, here we go. Now this goes to the general assembly. Then it's over.
Yes.
Then it's over.
Laura?
And so we went on a Zoom court hearing because we had actually filed a claim against a state trooper over in Frankfurt because we were at the Capitol. This was like last September, and it was a Zoom hearing, and it was such a big joke. But I just wonder, like, I know that we don't have a building, but why couldn't we start doing our courts on like a Zoom meeting and subpoena like these trespassers? So we
will, but I don't want to blindside the meeting. This is for Assembly Militia.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
ideal. Thank you.
Laura?
I was just wondering if we were, and I don't know how many people were able to catch the coordinator or the Monday night broadcast with Anna, but she was talking about us having a shutdown and the government shutting down this week. So I didn't know. I thought maybe that might be something we needed to be prepared for, and I didn't know if anybody had thought or discussed that. Maybe Joe has something. I yield.
No, I don't have anything substantial for that. All I know is the labor strike all along the East Coast, even as far down into Texas with the import export docks. All I can tell you is every day that those shipping schedules are not met, every 24 hours turns into a 300-hour delay. So for every day, it's 5 days delay. So that's what's going on, and that's not good. But yeah, I don't know of any. You're talking about where public broadcasting services. Yeah, I haven't found anything reliable to even substantiate that. So
Awesome.
Yeah, I was just going to go back to the training day topic. I see where you're coming from with that, with the optics and everything. So yeah, probably wouldn't be a great idea from people maybe on the outside looking in. You know, if you search on YouTube, militia, say, all you're going to see is, videos of goons running around with, so-called weapons of war, threatening to overthrow the government or whatever the case is. It's all kind of about optics, and if anybody on the outside looking in, they can, I don't know, portray it to be something that it's not. Uh, so I can see where you're coming from with that. With me, what I just train, pretty much by myself, and not by myself, but with uh, I train with police and military and two gun competitions, and I'm completely transparent about it, so they can't really, come to me and say I'm a terrorist or something like that. But that's something you got to look out for within the assembly. People trying to do a hit piece on the group itself, and that's nothing that I'd like to bring into the assembly, I guess. That's all.
All right. Thanks for sharing. And that's, I think we do need to train, but that again, so whoever watches this, everybody knows, and Austin, your hand's still up, by the way, if you didn't realize that, that that's no different than any other person that I know in the United States of America that is a state national or a U.S. citizen or whatever you want to call them, that calls themselves American, however they view it, that believes in the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms, because we have that right. The point is that we are a peaceful people, and we need to be able, we should be able to do those things freely on our own or even in a group. But it's the fact of, as soon as you mention the word militia, and if people go by the things that they've seen in the past or they've seen on television or movies or whatever, it's like everything else, even like what was brought up a little earlier about the whole thing with the cops and that Bridget brought up. It's people are ignorant of certain facts, and they need to be re-educated and retrained, and that's part of what we need to do. So, we can still do these things, but we need to first show what we're really about. And nobody that I know of, period, would not be about security and safety and protection of themselves or their own family. Because if you're not, then you don't care about them and you don't love them. So whatever anybody wants to say about that, they can say whatever they want to say. But if somebody was going to harm you or your family, I don't know anybody that wouldn't do anything to try to protect themselves or their family. And then we should. But I want to make sure that we, as the Kentucky Assembly Militia, bring forward the fact that we are a peacekeeping people. We want to help our neighbors. We want to help with the local police force and sheriffs, especially if there's some kind of disaster. There's some kind of, anymore we could have immigrants coming in that are not good people. There are good ones and there are bad ones. And they could come in and they could cause disaster or terror in a community. And that's when we need to stand together in a community and help each other and look out for each other. It's no different than just everyday life. But with that, I think Chris was first and then Joe. Chris?
What if for the training day, if it was focused more on a resistance militia versus combat militia in
Sure.
that security, safety, and protection
Yeah,
category?
I think that would be a good idea, Chris. Thanks for bringing that up. Joe?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to share with everybody. Shameless plugs here. The first interview I had with the Ohio Assembly Militia leader, Commander Adam.
Yes.
Assembly. I don't know if you guys saw that. Actually, I'm just put it in the chat. Leader, Commander. But we talk about the idea of We can put the rest this another pejorative regarding militia. But and how we can do that is we have a good comparison of these comical, script PG-13 violent type notions of people who are somebody somewhere has picked up a script and has hired people or has exploited people's concerns based in their view about what government is and their role in it. And then the people, concerned people, as citizens, 14th Amendment citizens, of course, constituency, cannon fodder, and then turning it on and broadcasting their concerns and exploiting their sensitivities. All of that showing to be a reckless, scared, training only in defense to against whatever tyranny may be in their view. All of that is being it's running its course where it's coming to an end. And how we can do that is knowing that every state in the union is owed a state guard. State Guard, Kentucky State Guard, Ohio State Guard, Florida State Guard, not National Guard, state guards. Just like a sheriff, a county reeve, their title is guard. They themselves and their deputies, along with the posse that they're able to call from within their county, that is a county guard. The county guardian is the county reeve. The state, or counties collectively, all made up of the people, defend their borders, which is natural or man-made disasters or breaches. You can escalate, take it to as far as you may need to go. But the idea of state guards or guardians, Kentucky does not have a state guard. I can't tell you when we had one last. I have to go back into the our state library archives to find out when that is. But we did, and we do not now. And the National Guard is not the same. The Kentucky National Guard is state and federal, and they can be mobilized. Traditional state militia, state border defense, which are militia, that is their term. That is what they are. State guards are the actual militia. They cannot be deployed. Okay, and all of the configuration and how that comes into play is nothing like you have seen portrayed, or some people on their own has published themselves in some video, and they're all frantic and upset and pointing their fingers at Washington, D.C. All of that is, I have to say at this point, is nonsense. It's riddled with some sincerity, and the rest is scripted, because every state is owed a state militia. It's called a state guard. The fact that 28 states do not have a state guard and the remaining do, which means the majority do not, that's concerning. But we have the opportunity as status corrected men and women, Kentuckians, can then take that term militia back over, point it to the state guard, Kentucky State Guard, where it's owed, and now we can show them what a true community building, community defense, well-regulated, true state militia is. So let me just go ahead and put this. Sorry, I didn't mean to take so long. But great opportunity for us. So I'm going to share that in the chat. And then you guys can see that interview. Now, Todd, I'm hoping to get you on there soon.
Okay.
Even as a guest, but certainly please go in and comment and get some traction, because you know how it is. You see a video and there's no comments. You're like, well, nobody goes here. There's views, but nobody even feels the need to like or comment. That, believe me, all of that really helps, because it helps draw people interest. Your question may spawn an answer, or a question that somebody else may have in the comment section. And eventually we'll have a panel of Assembly Militia leaders. And I'm hoping to retire by being able to offer this. The problem is, 60 hours a week is pretty much what I put in every week. And don't ask me how I can find the time to do what I do, but that's why I appreciate everybody's time. And that's why I speak fast and all that. So I should try to get everything in the short amount of time as possible. But so.
This Chris on Mary, man.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Joe, did you say there was something about the Kentucky State Guard on Kentucky.gov? Just search State Guard.
Well, yeah, I mean, what I found, it shows that there is archives that describes the history and the timeline of the Kentucky State Guard, but you'll find out everything else. You'll find out it's right there in your face, folks. The federal government, yet again, is attempting to serve the state through the federal government to take yet again another service that we are supposed to provide through self-governance. It's right there in our faces, because now they'll call even if we had a state guard, which is a militia reserve, state border defense. Now they're saying that the National Guard does that, and if we did have a state guard, those would be the reserves for the National Guard. That's garbage. That's garbage, absolute garbage. So, and that's right up my alley because I served in all three Army components over my almost 25 years. So just like Boyd, as a chief, 27 years, he has a very flexible perspective and a lot of things to share and a lot of resources that he can reach out to. So can I with regards to state militia. And if you go to ky.gov, you're going to be hard pressed to find anything about our previous state guard. You'll see National Guard, and then you dig further and you'll find out that the National Guard has assumed that role, and you're like, none. You find out even more. You educate yourself even more, and you're like, wait a minute. Title 10 and Title 32, which are mobilization orders, either continental United States or outside the continental United States. National Guard can be called up, and they are often called up in conflicts. Outside, and your state guards cannot at all. So where is your state border defense, especially for Kentucky, that has no state guard, if their National Guard service members are called up and sent overseas? So we have the perfect opportunity, and I mentioned this to Commander Adam on Ohio. I said, well, Ohio has a state guard and has had one, and it's pretty robust, and you can pull them up and see that. But Kentucky doesn't. And I said, well, the way I see it, Adam, you have something interesting to share because you have an active state guard, and other surrounding states that do not. Even we have a good opportunity because we can exercise our need for one, to have one, And then Ohio has an opportunity to join with them, or what's called light kind training, where you don't train in ranks with them, you don't muster with them, you don't join you're not part of their roster, but you should be able to go to their installations and train, which is what I was referring to about Bluegrass Station for Kentucky. So I yield. Sorry, I don't mean to take over.
You're fine, Joe. Was there anything else, or was that what you was going to share what we talked about earlier?
No. If you give me a screen share, I'll show.
Okay.
Queued up on the one. Which one am I here? The one that's going to have the hand up. The one that does have the hand up. Give me screen share there. All right. Just a couple of things. So here's the channel. I'm going to have at some point, I'm going to have PKTF logo half, and then the other side here will be half, showing, it'll be smaller, showing both PKTF service logo and then the State Assembly Militia logo for the other, and it'll be for Ohio too. I want to do this every 2 weeks. You guys can see there's been too many 25 views. We want to really get people up, going there and getting information about what's discussed. And this in cooperation with, in combination with other efforts, this sovereign citizen stuff is going to be, anybody touting that or accusing others falsely of being that, should be hanging their head in shame. And it should be a thing of the past. As long as we continue on with the correcting that record. Let me see here. All right. One last thing. I'm going to hope. I get this. I'm hoping that each of the states will have a emergency contact information on their website. I'm just going to show you this site here. This site is going to have, or the campaign below here is going to have to be updated. This was set a year ago 4 days ago, this was set for a year. It's already counted down. September 27th, I think, was the last date. But we were attempting to make sure and bring to light every single state assembly's web presence. To this day, we have not had a couple. Maybe Oregon is up, perhaps Alabama maybe soon, maybe even Rhode Island. But Vermont, Delaware, West Virginia is in session, but for some reason they don't have a website. North Dakota, we don't know where they are. Some of these are just completely off the radar. Hawaii we think's in session. Florida here is in session, but no website. And they've even justified, their coordination has justified several times as why they think they would need a website. Well, this time, 5 days ago, you definitely needed a website, Florida Assembly, because we were trying to reach out to them. Fortunately for Florida Assembly, though, they have a liaison. So we were able to contact them via voice to the Florida Assembly. But Georgia, we was able to contact. If you see in the dark green, that means if you go to their website, there is a link to PKTF. So anybody in need from the Georgia Assembly can reach out to PKTF directly just by going to their own website. South Carolina they have a website. If they're in light green, they have a website. But is there familiarity with what PKTF can offer them? If it's in orange, no, not yet. In other words, they haven't recognized or have placed a link going back to this site from their site. North Carolina has, Tennessee, I think they have, but so this might need to be updated. But anyway, we was able to reach out to Virginia through their website, regardless if they're, in cooperation with PKTF or not. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, and Florida. Well, if any of these states do not have a website, nobody can reach them. Not through a website, So that was a real struggle. So hopefully Kentucky, since we're on here, and you can see PKTF right here. If I click that, it goes right back to that site. If Kentucky had an emergency, first of all, anybody can click here and reach out to PKTF. But if Kentucky Assembly had an emergency contact with regards to the Assembly militia, then PKTF or anybody else can reach out to the Kentucky Assembly and inquire if they need assistance. So there should be somewhere where there's a militia, and I'll show you how, this is a pretty good start on our site, just from my opinion. But I'm going to show you in contrast to another assembly that's really built out well, as far as, at least in my opinion, as far as information flow or contact or approachability. So this is great, but let me show you North Carolina's, for instance. Just remember what Kentucky Assembly looks like. Now this is pretty wild how they have, go to their home. It's just it looks different on different platforms, but their layout is pretty, or just more spread out, their committees are listed on here, things like that. I don't see where their pillar section is, but they spelled Marshall at Arms wrong here, but you see the idea is somewhere there should be like under contact us, or somewhere on the home page. I went to contact and this is what I got. We was able to reach out to every one of the affected states, and this is the kind of contact form. But I would have to say inside the contact, if there's a big section here for emergency purposes only, and then the contact, something like that. So even on the Kentucky Assembly, let's go to the contact there, and then I'll stop. Oop. Oop. Sorry guys, I'm making everybody dizzy. The contact section is where we were having issues. And we do have that storm coming in, I think another one as well, where Kentucky may be next, That's what I'm hearing anyway. How they could possibly even know that, makes you wonder. How can they know that in advance unless they're driving things like that.
Yeah,
But
they're doing it. Harp is making these, just like in South Carolina and North Carolina. They wanted the lithium mine in Asheville.
Yeah.
I
So
have a
under the
question
context,
for you.
yes, let me just end with that. So I'm hoping that, and we have business cards, which is great because that's physical hand that gets, and that's a militia assembly militia contact business card. So that's, as far as I know, Kentucky is the only one that has that, but I could be wrong. But here on the contact, see the contact, it's great. I mean, you can contact, but shouldn't there be an area here? This is what we're hoping. Somewhere here, emergency contact, because who's this? I don't even know who this is when it comes down to that. You know, coordinator, yeah, sure, but who is it? You know, uh, so yeah, that's the issues. We need a concise area for emergency, so we know who we're contacting, and we can confirm I reached out to so and so, and hopefully it's the assembly militia commander. So that's my contribution. I hope, and I will be sharing with all of the other assemblies that we were able to contact that they need to have that emergency contact. Not just contact section, send it, what county are you from? I'm not from your county. I'm from somewhere else. I'm here to help, you know, because it has listed on one of the assembly, you got to put in one of the counties that their system recognizes. Well, I'm not from, whatever county, North Carolina. I'm from Spencer County, Kentucky, you know. Anyway, I yield.
What was your question, Laura?
Earlier he was talking about the sovereign citizen thing. And of course, we've been called sovereign citizens too. And he said that that was going to go away. People weren't going to be calling us that anymore. So I just had a question is, how is it going away? What have we done to change that? Because it's something that I've brought up to Tammy Hilly, just about how we educate or how de facto is educating people about us. So, and I yield.
Well, so just really quickly, the idea, first, two ways. First of all, or several ways, but I'll mention two. We don't behave the way we see footage on the side of the road or in court. People who are educated and properly status corrected do not. We're non-belligerent. If we're still maligned and marginalized and called certain names, well, people are attempting to lump us into those half-cocked folks who think that they're status corrected because they're trying to assert their sovereignty when they're latched onto the 14th Amendment citizen adhesion contract, or those degrees, and some refuse to budge from that. They want to assert themselves, thinking, well, what's the difference? I'm a U.S. citizen or not? Well, that's huge, because sovereign citizen equals citizen soldiery. This goes back to the militia. It's very simple, folks. I'm just letting you know. The powers that be and the partially educated or just ignorant, willfully ignorant troublemakers, or just just confrontational at heart people are playing every weakness that true political status correction offers, and that is the fact that the de facto does not want to relinquish their constituency, and anybody attempts to, they will build a pejorative of sovereign citizen. Sovereign is great, citizen is great, but they cannot function together. Here's the thing, though. The dynamic is the sovereigns who serve other sovereigns have to be citizens. So they're putting it right in our faces that they don't want to relinquish their constituency and their citizenry to the sovereigns so that the sovereigns can self-govern and offer a portion of their sovereignty willingly, temporarily, to other sovereigns. Because by default, their citizenry is cannon fodder, and cannon fodder are soldieries. This goes back to the militia, where they want to throw stones at people who want to assert militia roles and responsibilities, because that's what a citizen is to them. Cannon fodder. Cannon fodder is a soldier. So there's where we have to, the opportunity is we have, how we do that is we share and educate the people. We walk in that light. We're not ignorant. We're not belligerent. We're patient, peaceful, and, and, and all of the above. And then we express how we contribute to our community. Perfect example with, weather issues. We attempt to dispatch services to them and try to communicate and try to vouch for their whereabouts and their condition, all of those things. Everything short of pointing fingers at and yelling at DC, you know, like, oh, you're tyrants. Well, a U.S. citizen to say that, that's insurrection. A U.S. citizen or citizen of the United States making those claims and assertions and then puffing out their chest and showing that they're going to defend themselves, that posturing to DC is insurrection. So
Okay.
hopefully that was helpful.
Appreciate that, Joe. Shannon, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I apologize for earlier. I just saw the name and assumed I shouldn't do that. So forgive me for that. Where are you from?
Henderson County, but
Henderson.
I'm from a little bit of everywhere. You know, I'm a traveling electrician, like Joe said. I usually travel on the road. I'm
Okay.
getting ready to go to Arkansas next, but yeah, where I'm at is I started up the litigation committee, and then I had stepped out for about a year. You know, and so that didn't stop us from working from the county levels up to the state level, and so we're messing with Supreme Court. So we got a case in the Supreme Court of the United States, and you know, we're still working the litigation team. We're just not as active on the state assembly as maybe we should be. But yeah, we're old timers for sure.
Okay, well, that's good. I just wanted to kind of speak to you guys that are new to me, you men and women that are new that I haven't seen or haven't talked to, and encourage you guys. Obviously, everybody's got busy schedules. That's but if what I would like to do when we have these training sessions, I want to encourage you guys, one, if you can come to those, and I know that doesn't always work. Two, these meetings that you can make, I want to encourage that because if you can make those meetings and if you know of other people and can encourage that, we want to see this to grow. So I just want to, like I say, reach out and specifically speak to you guys and ladies that are new that to me to reach out to those people that you know that maybe have been involved in the past or maybe new people just to encourage them to come and be a part. With that, who's first, Laura or Chris? Thanks, Shannon.
You're welcome. Thank you, Todd.
Laura?
Nice to meet you, Shannon. I am the coordinator on Kentucky now. I have put my email in the chat. So, and I also have the Kentucky coordinator email. I've been working a lot with litigation with Christy Leeper and Dub Mimic. I would like to have a conversation if we could sometime so I could pick your brain because they're child trafficking mine and my husband's little girl. And I yield with that. Thank you.
Chris?
Yeah, I wanted to chat with Joe a little bit. I'm about halfway through that martial at arms bridge training from a couple of weeks ago, I think. And y'all was talking about the PKTF radios, and you mentioned a while back that the peacekeepers may be getting some of those for free. I'm not sure where that is or not, but I figured I would ask about it.
Yeah,
If
yeah, Chris, can you meet me on a call and then we can share that call with everybody this weekend? That way I can go
sure.
over with you that at length, and then we can share that. I just don't want to take too much more of our schedule here for that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a lot of great information. We're excited.
Yeah, I think I've been looking into them some. I think everybody should at least look into possibly purchasing them for themselves. And
Yeah,
I was wondering
yeah,
maybe go
yep,
ahead.
I can go over that with you, and then we can put that as a meeting for everybody to to glean from. I have a 3-day weekend coming up, so I should be available.
I do also.
Awesome.
Wonder if, conversation may, look at possibly seeing if I check with Todd, would have a conversation about seeing about the General Assembly, possibly approving to have one on, held by the militia. Just
Yeah.
so we can keep in contact with the states if nothing else.
Sure.
That you.
Sounds good. Appreciate that question, Chris and Joe, for your information. So look forward to that content. So guys, ladies and gentlemen, looking at this, we try to hold this at about an hour for our meetings, and we're over a little bit. I try to keep that just to try to be respectful of everybody's time because everybody's busy, everybody's got life. So with that, our next meeting will be see, what is today, the 2nd? So what's that, the 16th? Right? Look at my calendar here. Yes. Be the 16th. So if there's no other questions, comments, or thoughts,
I have one more.
okay, go ahead, Chris.
It's Chris O'Marion. Want to remind everybody to keep their head on a swivel and be vigilant. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now, and it's only going to get worse in the coming weeks and months. So just keep your head up. What's going on? Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that, and that's very true. We live in a time like none other in history that I'm aware of. So do be cautious. Keep your eyes open. Pay attention. So thank you for that, Chris. If no one else has anything else, I'll give people a moment. If there's any last moment questions or comments, if anybody has anything, please raise your hand. And if not, I'll give a minute and then I'm going to move to adjourn. Is there anybody that has any last questions or thoughts? Okay. Since nobody's responding, I want to make a motion. Oh, Laura?
Did we actually come up with a date for our militia training? Like the 7th or the 14th? Did we nail down a date or we just got it down to those two?
We've got it down to those two. Hopefully we'll have that the next meeting on the 16th.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted
Okay.
clarification for everybody.
Okay. Thank you for asking that. Anyone else? If there's nothing else, move to adjourn.
Second.
I move to adjourn.
Okay, Bob moves to adjourn on Bob and Jefferson.
Chris O'Marion, second.
Chris O'Marion seconds it. So this meeting is adjourned until the 16th of October. Thank you everyone for participating and being a part. Please come back, bring someone with you. Everybody have a great evening and a good rest of the week.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, Todd.
You're welcome. Thank you. So Chris jumped off.